Hello, everyone. Here we are, Thursday, November 11th, 21. So we are here live, and it's so nice to see everybody. So I would just a few housekeeping tips. If you are joining us live, would you type in below in the comment that hashtag live, or if you're joining us on the replay, hashtag replay, and tell us where you're from. We always love to know where everyone's from. As you know, I'm from Mexico, and my guest is in the United States, and we'll find out exactly where in the United States. And the other thing that I would like for you to do is this is StreamYard, and StreamYard will want your permission if you want to comment or react. So there's a little strip above where it says StreamYard, give permission. Click on that and give them permission to use your name. Otherwise, you'll come across as Facebook user, and we won't be able to chat with you. Well, I guess we will, but it's so much better to have your name. So, without any further ado, what I want to do is, as I always do, is tell you what my guest and I have in common. We're both educators. I was in education for 35 years and retired. My guest has been in education for 20 plus years, and she has not retired yet. And we're going to talk to her about that because she does a variety of things that we're very interested in finding out about. And I want to reiterate again that we meet the nicest people online. I met my guests online, and I just want to reiterate again, we meet the nicest people online. So, without further ado, let's bring on my guest, Frances Rudd. How are you,
Hey,
Frances?
I'm well. How are you, young lady?
I'm fine. I love it. You call me young lady. You're so cool. She calls herself Cool Beans. I love it. Cool Beans. Okay, so tell us, number one, where are you from? Where are you coming in from right
I
now?
am I'm born and raised in Virginia, and I'm right outside of Richmond, Virginia.
Okay,
That's
so
where I live now.
you're in the state of Virginia
Yes.
right now. Okay, and you were born in Virginia, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so one of the things, and if I look down, is because I'm taking notes all the time. So don't let that worry. Here's my pen. You describe your mission is to collaborate with parents and children and to help both reach their full potential. I would think that every teacher thinks about that being their dream mission also, and some are very successful, and some are not so successful. So what what do you say that your success is with all of this, because that's your mission?
Well, my success is the number of years of experience I've had working with families, off of varying. I
Mhm.
have worked with an early intervention with children from birth to 5, um, for July 2nd of next year will be, gosh, 30 years? Oh,
30 years
so
ago.
so yeah, so that experience, that hands-on experience, and I do want families, both parents and children, to know that um, they matter, they're valued, and that what they're going through. Some people say, "Oh, my problems aren't that major to somebody else or not." If it is causing you to have difficulty moving forward, then that's a major problem to you. So yeah. I do believe in individualized. I can't look at Sally's family and say, oh, because Sally's family this way is this way, Bob's family is going to be the same way. Everybody is different, and I take that approach, and I also look at it as I don't know everything that's going on in a family's life or in a setting, a
Mm,
parent setting. So it is ha- having grace, having empathy, true empathy for
mhm.
others. And just because somebody's not doing something you want them to do doesn't make that they don't value what you're saying. They may have so much more going on that they literally can't take on another task. So
Right.
you have to, you know, boundaries too. I've learned that boundaries are so important. Boundaries for me to know when I recite country songs, when to hold up, when to fold up, when to walk away, and when to run.
Oh, I love
Because
that
yeah, so because sometimes you it's okay that you're not a match for everyone. That
Right.
doesn't mean you failed or they failed. It's just
It
you're not a match, and that's okay. So
right.
yeah.
You just can't resonate with everyone for sure. Now, tell me, let's talk a little bit about. I know you were born in Richmond, Virginia. You said.
Mhm, mhm.
Tell us a little bit about your family and your education, and where you became a teacher. Why? When? Could you?
And I started out as an educator, and they call a service coordinator and an educator in early intervention.
Okay.
That's working with children from birth to 3 that have developmental delays or atypical development, meaning they have the skill, but the quality is not there, or um, they have a diagnosis that says that there will be delays even if they don't show them at this time.
Right.
Um, but I actually fell into early intervention. I went to a junior college in North Carolina, and I did had a associate degree in psych, and came back and worked in my hometown. Worked in daycare, and then one of my classmates, her mom, told me about a job in early intervention, and I that's how I started. I wish that I wish that I'd known more about early intervention when I was working in daycare. Um, so yeah, I started from there and was a service coordinator, educator. I feel like I've held every position in that area. So yeah, so I did that, and my parents still live in the same town where I grew up in. I'm a middle child. I have an older brother and a sister that's 11 years and 2 days younger than I am.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so always been a close family. Now, when I say close family, I'm not saying everything's always rainbow and sunshine, but there's there's respect there, and yeah,
Right.
and has always been very important to my parents. So yeah, and at one point I well, a lot of times when I went back to get a degree, it was because I was trying to prove myself more
Mhm.
to others than to myself. And it's interesting because the reason I did that was because I had a limiting belief that I picked up in kindergarten.
Wow.
Because in kindergarten, I when I went into kindergarten, I was excuse me, I knew my how to write my name and all these things, but well, at the end of kindergarten, I had to go to summer school, and I was like, "Well, how did I get from knowing all of these things to
Right.
having to go to summer school?" So this is when I was 5, 6. So fast forward 50 some years, and I'm talking to my dad when I went to visit, and I was like, "Yeah, something about summer school." He was like, "You didn't have to go to summer school." I was like, "What?" He was like, "No, you didn't have to go. They were starting up a new program, and our pastor asked if they would enroll me in it, and he did." He was like, "You didn't have to go." Well, I didn't know that, and I didn't ask any questions. So all those years, I thought that I wasn't as smart or
Oh,
was able to, yeah, I had those limiting beliefs, and so it was like, so I was like, wow, maybe I wouldn't have gotten that master's in business, or if I'd have known, yeah. So anyway, but
because you do have a couple of masters. I mean,
mm,
so tell us, so we found out why that limiting belief maybe
mhm,
got you that one master in business, but
mhm.
tell us about your other I think you have two master's degree,
Yes,
right?
I have a well, and one of the things with my master's in business is I love interacting with people.
Mhm.
Customer service, I mean, and customer service doesn't just mean being in a store. Customer service is
Absolutely.
what we do as
Yeah.
coaches. It's
Yeah.
serving the people that we're working with. So, and then I have a master's in education with an endorsement in early childhood special education, and so yeah, because
So that was
yeah,
much more you're in line
that was more, yeah.
with what you were doing. So
Mhm.
tell me, you didn't know about the intervention bit when you were doing daycare. How would that have made a difference?
There were some children that were in my classroom that I would have been more would have shared resources with, but I
Okay.
didn't know what resources to share, you
Okay.
know. So yeah, and so that's pretty much what that is because GI Joe used to say, knowing is half the battle. If you have a resource, share it. A lot of times people don't share because they're like, well, if they know about it, then it won't be here for me. No, no, no. The more people that know about it, then that means that there's more of a need, and then it draws more attention to it so that you can then get more of, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm big into, and as a service coordinator, that's what you do. You share resources. So yeah.
Right. That's great. Tell me, um, when you started intervention, I always think of intervention, people going to people's homes, and it's kind of intrusive. I mean, did parents not resist the fact that you came into their homes? And I maybe I'm not understanding your type
Oh
of
no,
intervention,
you're
but
understanding what intervention is.
yeah,
It's family centered. So we
yeah,
did go into the home, and when I say family centered, even though the child was found eligible for the program,
hmm,
once that child was found eligible for the program, it was family centered. So that if I went into the home and the parents wanted to go back to school, or they were looking for a job, or we could help with resources to help them do that. But it's a voluntary program as well. So parents can say no. They don't have to have do that, and they could also say, okay, I want service coordination, but I don't want the other pieces to it. Because also there were early intervention offers speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and things like that. So yeah, other services, and some areas offer social work as well. So yeah.
okay, so was it something in your family? I mean, you did talk about limiting belief. Was it something about your family that wanted you to get so involved with families for example, I mean, you do work within the K-5 category.
Mhm.
And so we're talking about young children. And really, to understand a child, you almost have to understand the family, right? Was there something about your family or how you grew up that made you want to particularly work with this group of children?
Well, for one thing, um, I was a fixer. And I tell people I wasn't born that way, but I was raised that way. And so being a fixer, service coordination was just the perfect job for a fixer like me.
Yeah, yeah,
But I had to realize too that it's not my job to fix anybody.
right.
So, and I remember one of my supervisors at the time, Kathleen Toms. I remember the blue chair she sat me in, and she shared that information with me about boundaries and such. And I'm not a fixer. I am there to help families get the resources they need so they can do what they need to do. Because I may have an idea of what something looks like, but that
Right.
doesn't mean, and it may be as subtle as pink to purple, but it's still the
Yeah.
family's pink, my purple, and it's the family that matters because they're the ones that have to move forward with whatever it is that they need to do or want to do. So yeah. So yeah, so I was a fixer, and so therefore, and I thought that was how that's how I should people showed love for me. And it
Hmm.
was one of those things that they didn't have to ask me to fix something or do something for them. If they were in another room talking to somebody else and I knew they needed it, oh, I was on it. And so it was a lot of just me myself. And so I worked on that, and that's how I came into the realm of coaching, and how I met you was through I met yeah, so that's how it came about, was
Because
that I was
I was gonna ask you, you know, how did you go from there, being an intervention in the school system, to being a coach? I mean, obviously, it's all about coaching. It's all about teaching and coaching. Teaching and coaching are so relative. It's like, you know,
Mhm,
it's a fine line there. But I always, you know, when I was in the school district, I always knew that the teachers, here's the difference for me. The coach always had the kids who chose the sport they wanted to play. Teachers didn't have that privilege. Kids had to take certain courses. So,
mhm,
you know, so we had to work harder at being liked than the coach, you know?
mhm, yeah,
So, so coaching was always quite different, you know,
yeah,
in my eyes. So, so what made
and
you want to become a actually, you call yourself a family and life coach, you know?
that was because I've seen what, um, families go through and parents go through when they are not, um, when they are holding on to those limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
And as a teacher, you have boundaries that you know, you may see it, but that doesn't mean that
Yeah,
you talk about it. And as a teacher, if you have time, because God bless America. We as teachers have a lot going on, you know, and there's so much more we want to do, but there's only so many hours in the day. So, but yeah, so that's one of the reasons coaching was for me, was because I want to meet parents where they're at and help them with those limiting beliefs so that they can enjoy their parenting experience. A lot of times we go on what someone has told us or what we've seen, then we think this is what we need to do or have to do. So I want to help parents realize that, you know, it's a lot of you as an individual and what you can do and what you are able to do. And I push self care because for a long time, if a parent, especially a mom, was like, I need a break, people would be like, aren't you being selfish? You should be with your kid. And it is so true that you need to have take care of yourself so that you can then share with other people.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I'm very big into self care, and I don't self care to me does not have to look the same. Like for me, like maybe a massage. For somebody else, it may be, you know, reading a book, actually taking the time to read a few pages of a book. Sometimes for me, it's just standing in the kitchen in front of the stove and breathing,
You know,
because that's just, yeah.
I'm laughing. Oh, I'm laughing because I remember my mother, who had 7 kids. We
Mm,
would follow her even to the bathroom. It was unbelievable. She
yeah,
had no time to herself, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah, and
and you're bringing up that memory for me. It's just, and I'm laughing because, but my poor mother wasn't laughing. You know,
oh,
I just want to recognize Flor, who's with us today. Hi, Flor. And we have Facebook user. If you allow StreamYard above to use your name, we can we can put a name to Facebook
Facebook
user
user.
if you want. So that's also now. Now you work with family and parenting. You are a parent yourself, right?
Hmm. And
Okay.
I came into parenting a little bit different. I adopted. I was, and I tell people at 45 I was happily single. I had talked about adopting, but I'd always talked about adopting an older child that was transitioning out of foster care and maybe going to college and stuff and needed those lifelong supports and things like that. But you know, they say whatever your plan is, God has a different plan.
Right.
So as I was working in early intervention, I actually met my son Jaden. He was in foster care, and I thought the foster parents were going to adopt him, and that actually was on the paperwork because I was his educator and service coordinator. And so once he transitioned out of our program into the preschool um, program within the school system, I found out that they were not going to adopt him. And I walked maybe 6 feet. I found out, I walked 6 feet, picked up the phone and said, called the social services that was department that he was under, and that held his case. And then I yeah, and I told him I wanted to adopt. So yeah.
So it was something in your heart that you knew that you were ready for motherhood then at that point?
Ye I had been, my brother has twins that are
Mhm.
now 22. Oof. And I I've been around children. I've been an aunt. I've been a godmother. One of my friends, Lisa, I met her. She has triplets. I met them when they were 5 months old. I think they're going to be 27 in February. So, and I've had some of the children that were on my caseload when I first started. They're going into their 30s, and I still have contact with them. So, I yeah, and I have yeah, so I've been around children, and so I, it never was a thought to me about having a child, but I didn't but it never worked out that I did, and it was fine. I mean, I'm one of those people. My parents or my family never were like, "Oh, you should be getting married." Nobody ever said that to me.
Oh,
So,
you were
so
very
yeah,
lucky. You
yeah.
no pressure to get married, no pressure to have children. So, where were you in the family? How many kids did you grow up with?
I'm the middle, so
Yeah.
my brother's a year older than I am, and
Mhm.
then my sister's 11 years and 2 days younger than I am. And
Ah,
even with her being younger, my parents, they never made me babysit and things like that, because it was like that wasn't my responsibility. I was a sister, not, a babysitter. So it was, I just enjoy everybody let me, you know, babysit their kids. We went places together and stuff like that. So it was never, I was never without, children around me. So yeah,
right. Yeah. So
both in work and stuff and, my
it's
personal life.
it's just a natural environment for you.
Mhm.
Now, Jen is his name, right? You're
Jaden. Yep. Jaden.
Jaden. Okay, how do
Mhm.
you spell that?
Jaden.
Jaden. Jaden.
Mhm, mhm.
Very neat name. I've never seen that name. It's very unusual. So, Jaden, so tell me, how old is he now?
He actually turned 9 on Monday. He
Okay.
turned 9 on Monday, and when I adopted him, he had, lots of, medical needs, and
Hmm.
so we went to, he had a feeding peg, and he got, fed through that. He had a lot of other things going on. So on Monday for his birthday, we went to IHOP's, and he ate half stack of pancakes, 4 pieces of bacon, and then when they brought out the ice cream, I was like, "There's no way this child will be eating that." And he was eating that. I was like, "Oh, wow." So yeah, so it was, it did my heart so good, and
Like,
I
how good?
shared that
Yeah.
with, a lot of the all right, so when I met Jaden, he was in early intervention, so my coworkers, I had just started that job,
Hmm.
um, so my coworkers had been working with him and knew him before I did.
Right.
So they have been, so they were in his life before I was. And so, yeah, so they are still, and I no longer work at that job, but I talk to them all just,
So,
we
like
share
aunties.
pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
Like
exactly.
aunties. That's
Um, yeah, so it's been great. It's like one of those jobs where when I left bringing a family with me.
yeah.
It's a family. So yeah.
What a nice ride. So tell me, how did that change your perspective in coaching and in teaching, being a mother? Did that affect you at all? I mean, did you have I mean, I should imagine that's a big step and that would change your perspective to a
Yeah.
lot of things.
I and the I don't have regrets about adopting Jaden,
Mhm.
none of that. What I regret is that I did not, take the pro let the process work. I was rushing it. I wanted to have my child with me,
Yeah.
so I
Mhm.
was rushing it. And, so it was a lot of, it's just the difference in, when you babysit and your auntie and godmother, you get to give those kids back. You don't give back, and so that was a lot. And I think that by being a mom, it did push the self-care a lot. I
Mhm.
realized that a lot of times we as parents, especially moms, we think we've got to do it all and we have to put our children first.
Right.
You care about your children and you love your children. Caring and loving means that you need to put yourself first for so you can have a break because and I used to tell moms in a program this, if something happens to you, who's going to take care of your child? You
Right.
know? So you really do need to focus on yourself some. It's okay. It's not being selfish. It's necessary. So yeah.
So this is a big component in your teaching, your coaching
Yes,
for mom.
self-care, very much so.
And
Very much so because it's important. And I also push again that it does not have to look the same to everyone.
right.
It does not. Self-care for some people may be going for a walk with your child. It's
Exactly.
okay. So it just varies. But yeah, I'm a firm believer in self-care. Very much so. So yeah.
Okay, great. So, interesting enough, uh, I know that I've seen your bio. I know that you say that you're a great believer in self care, and I know that about you, and you've just spoken to us about it. Um, the end goal, then, in the teaching in your family and life coaching, the end goal would be obviously that the parent and the children have reached their full potential. What exactly does that mean? I mean, it's
Some
easy to
type
say. It's easy to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and but balance, having some type of balance there, you know. I find that a lot of times, like when I talk to families about the coaching, the first thing they want to do is say, "Well, let you talk to the child." But I need to talk with you
Hmm.
because in the end, you're the parent, you know.
Right.
Um, and so, but there needs to be balance. A lot of times we as parents don't realize that when we're having a bad day at work and we bring that to the
Yeah,
door, that affects the balance of your home. A
absolutely.
child could be doing something one day and you're fine with it, it's no big deal. But if you're having a bad day and you bring that in and that same thing that they're doing, you have a whole different reaction, that confuses your child, you
Exactly.
know? So there's got to be some balance there. What I'd like is for with parenting is that helping them parents to see that there's balance. And a lot of times that means that there needs to be communication because I also offer services to talk with partners, parents, because you everybody you has the same goal of making sure that their children are cool beans,
Hmm.
fine, but not everybody goes about it the same way. So
Right.
a lot of times it's got to be you need to have conversations and communication about that. You can assume anything you want to, but not unless and even after you hear someone say it. So there's that needs to be open communication because things change all the time. So yeah.
So, open communication is easy to say. I'm assuming you have tools and you have practices
Mhm.
that your coaching takes these parents and children through. Is there anything that you would like the audience to know why, if they're having, if they want to family and life coaching, why they should call on Francis?
Um, because I listen. I
Okay.
don't go in saying we need to do this, this, and this. I listen to what you are saying.
Hmm.
I take those practices that I've learned in teaching. We look at what goals you have, and then we look at the short-term goals to get to that long-term goal. You
Okay.
know, those so it's very structured. Just like children need structure, we all need structure. So
Absolutely.
it's very structured. And I also tackle those limiting beliefs. And that's a little harder because a lot of times people don't see what those limiting beliefs could be. So there's a lot of talking about how you were raised, your relationship with your
Right.
family members and things like that. So there's a lot of conversation, but we also we there's work to be done. And I tell people there's work to be done. It's not just oh, I tell you, oh, we'll do this and that. I can tell you those things, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for
Right.
you. We need to come up with a plan together and how you it will fit into your environment because I have one child and you may have more than one, or my child is different from other people's children, and so yeah, so it's
And so are the
yeah,
3 children that you have, they're all
yeah,
different, and they all
yeah.
react differently and
Yeah, and
respond.
I look, I only have one. Don't give me any more. I only have one.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
No,
so
but I
yeah.
mean the family that you're dealing with.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just so yeah,
Mhm,
it's very different. And I just want to I want everybody to be successful. And one of the things that I also want to do is that I want to work with families. I want to work with all families, but especially those new parents, because I found out for myself that I didn't realize I had limiting beliefs until I became a parent.
mhm,
But those limiting beliefs were not only attached to parenting, they were attached to other areas of my life as well.
mhm.
So, and we teach people how to treat us. So I had to work through that as well as my parenting as also, you know.
Okay.
So, so my interactions with others changed as my parenting, and I tell you, I was so blessed that I had a solid circle of friends, and they didn't come around when I adopted. I'd always had them, and then
Yeah,
like my coworkers were there, but so it's important that you have a solid circle, and it doesn't have to be 20 people. It could just be one person,
right.
but yeah, it's important. And the other thing I realized too was that you can't expect for that circle to be working for you all the time and you not give back.
Right.
That circle is attached, and it's a and it goes around and around. So what comes around goes around, and that's important in the positive setting of a circle. So yeah,
Absolutely.
so yeah.
So I noticed that most of your courses are like 6 weeks long.
Mhm.
So it is a process, definitely a process.
It is because I
How
don't
long
want anyone to
I'm sorry.
feel rushed.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how long have you been doing this? I mean,
I've been well,
yeah, the
the
coaching, I mean.
the coaching, the business part of it, of having my actual business, has been for about a year and a half now.
Okay.
However, I have been coaching uh, and I can hear all my friends like, "Oh, she's been coaching for
Was it
years."
forever?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been, and that is the truth. I have because I the art of listening is so very important, and
Absolutely.
that's why I have it for 6 weeks. Is because it's not a quick fix. If
No.
it was a quick fix, I'd have wrote a book and then 3 pages and it would have been done. It's not a quick fix, and a lot of times you've got to free your mind. And it's just because you've agreed to coaching does not mean you've actually freed your mind yet. You're open to the possibility of. So it's a lot of work that goes into it. And so yeah.
Well, and but I think the thing that gets me a smile when I look at what you're offering is the one that say, "So you want to become a parent, do you?"
Yeah.
Tell us about that one because that's like, "Oh yeah, well let me tell you the the."
Well, and I really did that because like when I was going through the adoption process,
Mhm.
I realized that when I was going through the process of filling out those papers, I was so concerned that I was going to write or say something that was going to stop the process.
Right.
I was afraid that if my house wasn't immaculate, that they would be
Say no.
like, okay, so is this not what's going on? Then I was afraid if it was too immaculate, they're like, oh, does she live here?
You're
So it
right.
was like there was a fear there. So what I wanted to, and then after I adopted, I had other friends come to me that were looking to adopt, and they were asking me questions, and especially people that are like, for me, I was single, so I didn't have to worry about what the other person was writing on the form. And it's not a worry like, oh, it's just you don't want anything to look irregular that will stop the process. So I want the parents, people that are thinking of becoming parents, to come to me and we can share, and there's no punitive for you being honest with your feelings. Like when I knew I didn't want to discipline like my parents disciplined,
Mhm.
but I didn't put anything in place to do that. So I had to look at that. Um, so it's like thinking of things like that, and you guys talking about what it is the expectations are, because a lot of times it's a checklist. you graduate from college, you get a job, you have a child, and you do this. It is more than a checklist, and there needs to be an essay beside that check sometimes. So
Right.
that's what I want to do. I really want people to come into an environment where they're
Open
comfortable with,
eyes.
yeah,
Yeah.
with open eyes, and they're comfortable with sharing with me, and I can share my experience with them
Right.
and
Exactly.
share some tidbits of what other people have shared with me. Because I mean, I've gone places and people have just when they find out I've adopted, they just they're open book and sharing things with me and stuff like that. So that's been great. So yeah.
Right. And we are in a self-education revolution. People want people who have been through it themselves. It's not, they don't want to go take a course at college from a professor who doesn't know anything about parenting. They want the truth, you know, what you've been through, and I want to know how you got through it, and so they want somebody who's already been through the mess.
Yeah.
Right.
And um I've been along for the ride with some people on the when in working with families,
Right.
but because I was so close to them, going into their homes and seeing them, sometimes more than their actual family members saw
Right.
them. So yeah, and then what I'm going through, being a godmother, being an auntie, um, those things have really helped me to feel comfortable
Right.
with the services that I'm offering. You know,
Right.
so yeah,
So yes, a lot of experience,
yes,
basically. So expertise, knowledge, and expertise go well together, and it's wonderful that you're taking what you know and are helping and to impact other people's lives.
yeah.
Francis, tell me, what would you like our audience to know about you that maybe we haven't covered here in so far in this interview? Is there anything in particular you want? Because I know that if they read the tickler down below and they're interested in contacting you, there are two ways they can do that, and we'll get back to you in a minute. Just let me go through what it says here. It says contact Francis Rudd by email, and that would be Rudd, RUDDFA, at gmail.com, or by going to Francis's website to book a call with her, and that would be www.rudd, family and lifecoaching.com. Is that the best way
Mhm.
to contact you?
Yeah, and actually, if they go to the website, they can book a free 20-minute discovery call with
Okay,
me.
that's great.
Mhm.
Wonderful. So tell me, is there anything that we haven't covered here in the interview that you would like the audience to know about you?
I think we've covered it, but I really do want people to know that what I'm offering in parenting and life coaching, and the reason why I did the family and life coaching was
Mhm.
because not only do I want to focus on parents, but I also want to focus on, young adults and young adults and then older people that have not yet faced those limiting beliefs
Right.
that have caused them to be stuck. You know, I had a discovery call with a young lady in Germany, and she started talking about her work and how she was stuck in her work. But as we talked more, there was some family things. So she came to me for one reason, but stuck with me because she realized that there was a lot of limiting beliefs that she
Mhm.
had
Mhm.
that she needed to work through. And then after she did that, it was like l- she better understood her relationship with people at work as well. You know, so that's what
Absolutely.
I really want people to know is that I do want to work with the whole family. So, because I say children
Mhm.
that are still having as they get older, having those limiting beliefs that they were raised on, and they need to face those things and work through them in order to not be stuck in other areas. Because a lot of times we may say, oh, that didn't affect me. Yeah, if you're still talking about it, it affected you. So, yeah.
Right. And so, you and I throw around this term limiting belief. Do you have a fast definition for the audience who's probably saying, what's she talking about, limiting belief?
That is when you are, when someone else, when a situation or a person that has ingrained something in your mind that makes you think you can't do something, or will you'll fail because they've told you, or you've thought they told you. And so those are those limiting beliefs that you are holding on to, things from the past that is keeping you from trying something new, you know.
Exactly.
And for me, it was thinking that I wasn't smart enough. So
Hmm.
I spent my life um, get going to school to prove something that I never had to prove, you
Yeah.
know? And so those were, after I realized that, then a lot of things that were on my agenda to do later, I was like, I got the tattoo. I am enough. I don't know if you can see that,
Oh,
but yeah,
that is wonderful.
yeah, I
Perfect.
got the tattoo. I am
Thank
enough. I don't need to do this. I've got the skills and knowledge, and I've got the experience that I can help people. And it's just, and I had that, the confidence within me grew. So I had to let go of those limiting beliefs.
you. Right.
So that's what it is. It's things that, because a lot of times it's not what people have said, it's us, we assume a lot of things,
Right.
and we assume it because nobody told me I wasn't smart enough. I assumed it because I had to go to summer school, and that had
Exactly.
nothing to do with anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's what I hope I explained that. But a limiting
No,
belief
you
is,
did.
yeah.
That, thank you. Thank you.
So
I just wanted to, because, people throw the term around so much,
mhm,
and a lot of people, I wish they explain what they mean by that. So examples are the best,
yeah,
and so that's great, because, I grew up in a family of seven, and grew up with a lot of limiting beliefs, like, that having a family wasn't fun.
yeah,
you know it was hard work. It was 24/7 for my mother, and
yeah.
it affected me. I didn't want a family.
Right,
Oddly
right.
enough, I became a bonus mom, and you and I haven't had time to talk to that, but I'm watching the hour, and I know that you have
Yeah,
something to do.
I'm good though. I'm good.
So I'm a bonus mom, and we call the bonus moms are those that we used to call the stepmom, but we don't like the term stepmom. And the reason you and I have something in common is Shika Kana's project, where she's doing 100 dreams and 100 self portraits, and it's all about moms, right?
Mhm.
You're the adopted mom. I'm the bonus mom. And then there's the real mom and all that, you know.
Oh, we're all real. Let me tell you what.
We are,
If we step on that stage, we're real. So yeah.
exactly. And there's we who we are behind that veil.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of it too. We are we are sometimes projecting what we think other people need to see.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the truth of that. And what I love about Sheikah's project too is that meeting these wonderful women, all of you guys have different talent, skills, personalities, but it's all aimed at being the best that we can be as ourselves, you know. And it's great having that whole it's like having a cheerleader section, you
Right.
know. If you post something, someone is going to cheer you on, and it is great.
Yeah,
It really
absolutely.
is. It really
Absolutely.
is.
We have the mom in common, but then we know that we're so much more,
Yep.
and we have like-minded people who think the same. So that's great. Well, thank you, Francis. Thank you so very much
Thank
for your
you.
time. I know that people will be contacting you, and we will see where this project goes that we're both involved in, and so it's not the end for us. You and I will
Right.
be comadres, as they call us in Spanish. So thank you again for your time and your wonderful presence, and
Thank you. I really
and
enjoyed it.
and the best for you with your family and life coaching. And so, my audience, thank you for being present. Thank you, Flor. Thank you for Facebook user for being with us. And do remember that on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we have these wonderful, awesome empowering interviews. So join us next Thursday for our next awesome guest. And we'll see you then. Bye for now.